Most NBA fans believe the winner of the Western Conference Finals will go on to win the championship. Game 3 goes tonight, and we'll discuss the injury report. We'll also discuss some potential recency bias. Let's get right into it. The Spurs will be a 2-point home favorite. The total sits at 217.5. And of course, Oklahoma City won game 2 by a score of 122 to 113. They shot 48% from the field, 36% from beyond the arc, and 79% from the free throw line. And you ask yourself, is there some recency bias? At the end of the day, the series is tied 1-1. The Spurs still have home court advantage after winning game 1. And it was not a shock to see the series tied at 1 game apiece. I did say that I thought that would be the most likely result heading into game 3. It wasn't exactly a blowout either. And in fact, the referees might have leaned heavily trying to assist the Oklahoma City Thunder. And if you check out Twitter lately, Twitter certainly would agree with that sentiment. Let's pull up an image that I pulled from Twitter. Here's an image that clearly shows, or in my opinion, clearly shows Chet Holmgren attempting to injure Victor Wembanyama. These guys are lined up for free throws, and he looks down at his foot and he steps on his ankle. I hope this got sent to the league. I hope that we get a better officiated game here in game 3 in San Antonio. But yeah, before you start saying Oklahoma City's got all the momentum and look at what they did in game 2, keep in mind the officials certainly didn't get in their way in any the officials were on their side for sure in game 2. So Gilgeous-Alexander, 30 points on 12 of 24 shooting. Another terrible night shooting the ball from beyond the arc, 0-3 from three-point range. He's now 2 of 10 from beyond the arc in the Western Conference Final, and he shot 19% from three-point range in the regular season series against the Spurs. Isaiah Hartenstein had a bounce-back game, 10 points on 4 of 8 shooting, logged 27 minutes after I think he only played 12 minutes in game 1. One of the things about Hartenstein, though, is he was getting away with murder. There's one clip of him yanking on Stephon Castle's hair, pulling him to the ground. He was getting away with a lot of really dirty plays that went unnoticed. The refs were kind of looking the other way when Hartenstein was doing stuff like that. Chet Holmgren, 13 points, 5 of 10 from the field, 0 of 2 from beyond the arc. He played 27 minutes as well. A bit of bad news for the Thunder. Jalen Williams left with a hamstring injury after just 7 minutes. And that's not going to be as big of a deal as you might think. Oklahoma City does have the depth. In fact, their bench outscored San Antonio 57-25 in game 2. I think that margin was even greater in game 1. I will say, though, Oklahoma City lost game 3 on the road in last year's conference finals versus Minnesota. And then in the NBA finals, they lost game 3 on the road at Indiana. Oklahoma City is 9-1 straight up in their last 10 overall. The over is 6-0 in Oklahoma City's last 6 road games. Oklahoma City, though, just 2-5 against the spread and 2-5 straight up in their last 7 versus the Spurs. Remember, the Spurs own them in the regular season series. The Spurs looked pretty damn good on the road in game 1. Now we head back to San Antonio. We'll talk about the San Antonio Spurs, but before we do, I got to tell you about a few promotions we have available at Wager Talk. And as I always say, if anybody's got any questions, criticism, or comments, please don't hold back. Hit me up in the comments. I love hearing from you. Let's pull up a comment from yesterday's video. And I commented that the Cavs' loss in game 1, that blown lead, was reminiscent of J.R. Smith with the ball under the hoop in a tie game in the dying seconds and losing track of the score back in 2019 or 2018, that was. The one with LeBron James holding up his hands. And I mentioned that was a game that went to overtime in game 1, and that ended up in a sweep. The Cavs never competed after that game 1 overtime loss on the road against the Golden State Warriors. And this fella says the 2018 Warriors are light years better than this Knicks team. I'm not going to argue with that, but that was not the point. The point was Just because a team's competitive in game one and loses isn't an indication that they'll be competitive throughout the series. We saw evidence of that in game two. Let's move on to promotions. You guys have heard about this one, $999. It looks like a lot of money. It's not. This gets you every single play in every sport, 365 days. You'll save yourself a lot of money rather than going to the site to get my 5% plays at $35 per play. And I do have a 5% play on this particular game tonight, and it's available at wagertalk.com. I'm now hitting, I believe, 73% with NBA sides the last 365 days. Yesterday was a big day for us. If you're not following me on Twitter, you should be at Jesse Schule. Check out my pinned tweet. Long history of me dominating in the NBA postseason. That includes that 2018 finals with the Cavs and the Warriors, as well as the Raptors and the Warriors. Let's talk about the San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs shot 49% from the field and 40% from three-point range in the loss in game two. So it wasn't the shooting that cost the Spurs. It was the turnover battle. They lost the turnover battle 21-9. And they're already writing obituaries for the guards, for the San Antonio Spurs guards. Both De'Aaron Fox and Dylan Harper are listed as questionable for tonight's game. And I see most of the pundits are very pessimistic about the availability of both of them. I personally think that Fox, he might not be 100%. I think he has to play tonight. I expect De'Aaron Fox to play tonight. Harper, it's not a hamstring injury. I don't know if that's good news. It's more of a groin injury. We did see him sprint up the tunnel and try to get back into the game, and they held him out. He at least looks like he's willing to play if they'll let him. We'll see how that goes, but I do expect De'Aaron Fox to play, even if he's not 100% tonight. Wembanyama, 41 points and 24 rebounds in game one. We've seen Wemby be streaky in these playoffs. He has a big game followed by a not-so-big game. I'm leaning more toward the big game here tonight. He scored 21 points and 17 rebounds in game two in 41 minutes. Stephon Castle is getting his points, 25 points, 10 of 17 shooting in game two, but 9 turnovers. The guards for the Spurs, they could certainly use one of those guys back. I do expect, like I said, one of the two to play tonight. The Spurs only trailed 99-97 with 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter of game two. I mentioned that I wasn't satisfied with the officiating. I'm not the only one. All you got to do is open up your Twitter feed and you'll probably see what I'm seeing. If you watch the game, you didn't notice. We could show that picture again if you want. That's just nasty. Somebody needs to give Chet an elbow for that one. I like the Spurs coming back home. I mean, the Spurs own them in the regular season. The Spurs are 16-4 straight up in their last 20 home games. The over is 7-0 in the Spurs' last 7 overall, and the over is 5-1 in the Spurs' last 6 home games against Oklahoma City. It did appear that game two was a fast-paced game. Both teams shot relatively well. I'm not going to bet the over in this game myself, but the trends certainly, a lot of people will be betting the over because the trends will point them in that direction. I'm heavily invested in the Spurs to win this game, win the series already. The pick for this video is going to be Gilgeous-Alexander under 34.5 points, rebounds, and assists. He's gone under that number in 6 of 7 games. 43.5, not 34.5, 43.5 points, rebounds, assists. He's gone under that number in 6 of 7 games. The one game he went over was game 4 against the Lakers, and he only got to 44. So he only went over by a half a point. He's not shooting the ball well from beyond the arc. He had a 30-point game in game 2. He hasn't performed like an MVP in these playoffs so far. I expect some regression in game 3 on the road in San Antonio. So the pick is the Spurs and Gilgeous-Alexander under 43.5 points, rebounds, assists. If you like this video, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. You got anything to say to me, even if it's nasty, hit me up in the comments below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.